My name is Ted Starr. I'm an attorney in Pinellas Park, Florida, and I'm here to answer some questions. The question is, what is the difference between a will and a trust? There's a big difference between a will document you do, which is typically called your last will or your last will and testament, and a trust that you create to own property to sometimes facilitate the transfer of the property if you pass away. A trust is a form of ownership of property where you hold property in the name of a trust. You transfer property to be owned by the trust. The trustee, typically you, if you set up a trust, but it can be anybody, is now the controller of that property. When you do your will, they're just stating what will happen when you pass away. You're not necessarily transferring any asset or changing the ownership of any asset with your will document. But with a trust, you're planning on changing the ownership of the asset in anticipation of your death, or sometimes to transfer control of an asset to another person. So a trust is very different from a will, and you shouldn't confuse the two. If you do a trust, sometimes you'll do a will as well. We call that a pour-over will, where you will leave your assets to your trust if you haven't already transferred them to a trust. So just because you do a trust, you still potentially would want to do a will as well. So there's a big difference between will and trust, and the two are not interchangeable. And while you don't necessarily need a trust, you probably do need a will.